Welcome everybody to episode 71 of New Game Experience. I'm sitting here once again with the illustrious Kevin Caroli? Who the fuck is that? Christian Caroli.
Of course.
Hello. I am
Kevin.
Kevin Caroli. What's up? Doing well.
And of course, Jonathan Gantes. How are you?
Yeah, I don't have a big introduction. We know that already. I'm just John. Like the illustrious Christian and John.
The John.
John.
The John.
That's the one. All good.
All good, my friends. So we are here to talk finally about not only Elden Ring, because we've kind of spoken about it, you know, here and there, blah, blah, blah. We're going to speak once again about open world games. So to anybody who doesn't know, I had a conversation with a friend of mine a couple of episodes ago, and it was really interesting. He was very much versus Breath of the Wild. Like he wasn't really into it. He's the one who got me into Souls games, by the way. So now I want to have it with you because I think we've kind of grazed around this issue or topic. And so let's begin with the state of open world games today. Like, what do you feel the general panorama looks like, Christian?
Terrible.
Terrible.
The end of gaming.
Yes.
It's collapsing under its own weight. There is no future.
How about you, John? What do you feel about it?
There's too many. There's too many open world games, and there's still more to come out, and it's too many. Like, it's not good.
It's the same game. They're selling us the same. It's the FIFAification of everything.
Yeah. So just because of those last let's say 2 minutes, we already know that the open world fatigue is big in this group of 3 people. So this, of course, has many reasons. The first one is called Ubisoft. So we're gonna talk about Ubisoft again. No, I'm just kidding. I can't talk about them again. But yeah, so I think that in the PS4 generation, Xbox One generation, although we don't talk about that one because that one kind of didn't really exist. But yeah, the PS4 generation, we saw this rising of open world games. We saw how games like Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, then like everything got bigger. Everything always got, you know, like bigger maps. We saw games for like The Witcher 2, which was like a linear. Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of have like decisions that you can make, but it was a linear.
It was pretty linear.
Correct. It was a linear RPG, and then it became open world. We had Batman Arkham Asylum, which then turned into Batman Arkham City and Arkham Knight. We had Metal Gear, which had been like, I mean, sort of open maybe when you go to 3. The 4th is like the most closed off one, and that's kind of why I hate it. But you know, then we came to NGXP, which is like a huge open world. And so we sort of saw this trend where everything was going open world. And for a time, personally, I thought that this was a good thing, because not only am I a fan of these collectathon, Ubisoft's open world games where you have to like clean the map, etc. Also, I was kind of poor in the beginning of that generation because I was recently moved here. So when you buy an open world game, you kind of get a lot bang for your buck. But, you know, now at the beginning of the PS5, we're seeing how all of us are already like saturated, like, okay, please no more. And, you know, Elden Ring kind of got a pass because that's the first time that they've done it. But like, to me, I know I've been talking a long time, but I swear I'll give it to you in a second. Like, I played Horizon and I had a good experience with it. I have my qualms with it. Like, it is very hand-holdy game. Like, Aloy doesn't really give you 5 seconds until she's already suggesting what you should do in a puzzle, which I found super annoying because, of course, she's a woman. That's why I find her annoying. And, of course, I'm kidding. But yeah, so that game, I enjoyed it, but I was like, am I going to remember this in 5 years? And the answer is probably no, because it does everything super correct, but it does nothing that comes out of this paradigm that we're getting used to for the last 10 years. and it's a beautiful game, blah blah blah. But then we come into something like Elden Ring, and they follow their own design philosophy that they've carried on from all the games that they've done thus far, and they apply the open world into it, but they don't try to placate to all of these other Ubisoftisms that we've come accustomed to. So I know I've spoken so long. So let's go to John this time. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this whole thing? The normal open world versus perhaps the new wave, which can be maybe something like Elden Ring.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's gonna be a new wave now with Elden Ring, but yeah, it just came out of all that era. I think it was back in the day, back in the PS3 day, it was sort of a way of showing up or like proving the power that the consoles had to create this massive open world. This typical thing that or I don't know if it's a typical thing, but the oh, you see that in the distance, you can go there.
Skyrim,
that
right?
concept. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Skyrim, I think, was one of the, well, I think it was the first massive open world, let's say, that it's so massive that you have like a second layer, like the subterranean thing, almost the same size as kind of the same size of the main map. But yeah, I think that it comes out of I think it comes out of a childhood or like a childish thing, the how massive the world is, how you can just move and you have so much freedom and so much to explore. And I think that's the key thing, like the exploring part. Less every time it got less and less, more exploration and more marks in a map that you need to go and do. It's a check mark, exactly. So you bigger maps with more chores to do, let's say, in some way, and less exploration. So yeah, it got transformed into this terrible thing that we have nowadays, that is just a chaos, that you can open the map and then you see it's just like a whole shopping list here and a bunch of markers and this, and you do this here and this, you hunt this here and you collect this here and you do this.
The laundry list.
The laundry list, yeah, it's like your weekend list, that all you need to do. I need to go shopping, I need to do washing, I need to clean the kitchen, and it's chores. And I think that's when the illusion and all this childish, and I don't say childish in a bad way, but like this sense of, oh wow, how great the games are, just it's not working anymore. Because I see nowadays when somebody say an open world, a massive open world, I'm like,
here we go again.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, really cool, good. You just more checks. And I don't know. I do think Elden Ring did it in a really good way, mostly. And again, I don't want to go into a Elden Ring praising spoiler cast, praising cast, but they just gave back the sense of exploration, the sense like, I'm not telling you anything. This is the map. You collect the map. You have a new piece of the map. You can say the layout of the land, maybe a bit things that you think are a bit higher and lower, like a real map, and just go and do it. And that, apart from many other things, was one of the things that made the game so enjoyable for me. As I said, for me, this is a new Zelda. It's a Zelda for adults, because I do think it has that.
It has less sex
than Zelda.
I think it has less sex
than Zelda.
It sure does.
Okay.
If you think about it has less sex.
Well, we had a. I'm not gonna say a friend, because that would be a lie. But we had an acquaintance, John and I, in a group that we were once, and this guy was super
He's
attracted to Zelda in Breath of the Wild. Yes. Yep. And to me that's kind of weird. But okay.
Weird. I think she's like 14 in that
exactly.
Story.
I think she's always being around 7. I think the top year was in Ocarina of Time when she was 17, because you traveled 7 years in the future. So
it's time for a MILF Zelda. That's
hopefully.
The one in Twilight Princess was kind of an adult, I think, right? To me, at least.
Yeah. Link was pretty old as well.
Because the child was the other one. The what is the name of the other princess in Twilight? Like the small.
Oh, Midna.
Midnight. Yeah.
No, but wait, Midna becomes Midna what was trapped in that form, but then she becomes like her
Yeah.
actual
Yeah,
form,
the
and
anime
she's like,
thing, like
and
yeah,
yeah,
she's 900 years
Yeah.
old. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
yeah.
but I mean,
It is
she was
fine. She's
she
old.
was she was literally like a woman when she
That,
became
that's kind
a
of like a
whatever.
weird kink in anime. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm an old woman, super wise, but I look like a child, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
behave like old assassins. Like, it's kind of Freudian, I would say. It's a bit
No.
Oh
fucked
yeah,
up.
I think they're called lollies. Fabio recently
It
told me
has
about that.
a, oh, it has
So
a
yeah,
name.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
lolicon. Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
comes from
horrible.
Lolita. Yeah, like the same
My
same
God,
movie.
Okay,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
it's awful.
Well,
It's awful.
before we get demonetized, not that we make money with this.
Exactly.
But I think I have a point around kind of like the things that are cool about like the open world. I think we've lost the openness of the open
Mm.
world. I think that that's kind of like the most important thing. When you see all these check marks in a map, even before you discover the map, I think that really reduces the amount of like surprises and adventures that you can have because there's a question mark there. Like you already know that there's going to be something.
Mm.
um I'm of the mind that if you miss it, you miss it. Like that's, I think that's one of the things I liked about my first playthrough of Elden Ring. I missed a bunch of things, probably because these fucking idiots didn't put them in the game until they patched it. But I did miss a few quest lines that I would have like tried to finish if I could. But there were others that I think I completely missed. Like and I'm kind of okay with that. That was
Hmm.
my adventure, and otherwise the adventure becomes the same for everyone, and it becomes kind of like a competitionist thing. And in a way, that I think that that was kind of like a cool thing about Skyrim as well. Like the adventure was being pieced together as you go.
Hmm.
I do remember like at some point someone told me something about a university in Skyrim, and I was like, oh, I want to go there. And I went there way before I should have, like really early in the game, and it was quite an adventure. It was just getting there. It was like, wow, I'm really traveling somewhere. I'm really discovering this map. This is dangerous. There's a sense of intrigue, and that no longer exists in most of these games. Like
No.
it's just being replaced by a very linear progression, you know. And I think that's one of the cool things that like games like Breath of the Wild did different. I think that Breath of the Wild, to begin, they would just tell you kill these five guys, like even if you fucking want to, or just go kill Ganon. Like you could just go and kick his ass like right off the bat. You were gonna get your ass kicked, but like the thing that I believe that this game do is that they you create your own adventure. You're like, okay, I'm gonna, if you were to try to go to Ganon, you would get your ass kicked the first time, but then you like get all these new tools, defeat him in different forms, and then you actually are like ready to go, and like you fulfill your purpose, and then you get there and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna kick his ass, and you did that all by yourself. You decided how you were gonna achieve that end goal that at the beginning seemed unsurmountable. Like there are plenty of times on soul games when I'm like, I don't think I can, you know, respark the dark soul. Like you better find some other guy. And by the end of the game, you're like a force to be reckoned with. And that is something that also I think that's why Far Cry 3 was so superior. When
Hmm.
the game starts, you're just a dude that was on holidays with your friends, and by the end, you're just like a, you know, like a tribal leader playing
I'm a
with
mass
black
murderer.
magic and a mass murderer. Exactly. And I don't know, you're just like one on one against a sociopath, and that's an adventure.
Yeah.
And they completely lost that for several reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, the same with Far Cry. Like the first Far Cry, even Far Cry 2, it had the same feeling, like the same openness, the same randomness that you get. And where you were talking, I just remember an example of a friend that we have that he played Ghost of Tsushima, and you see his path on the map. It's just a straight line all the way till to the end of the map. Like, because of course he didn't explore, and it's nice that the game gives you the option. And don't get me wrong, I love Ghost of Tsushima. For me, it's like one of the best Sony exclusives ever. But yeah, it is the thing. Like you don't really need to explore if you don't want to. Like you have the option, but the game doesn't push you to explore. It's just a linear path that you are subconsciously guided to, which on the souls maybe because of all the way the game goes, that you need to grind or level up or get good, whatever you want to call it, it forces you to go out of your way and to explore other things, because you say, hey, maybe I have something here that helps me fight with this boss, or I find this weapon that I don't know, it works better for my build, and etc etc. So yeah, it's I think it's more a
I
mixture of things than just
I
the open
killed
world.
in Elden Ring. I killed a demigod, and I had no idea. I was like, "Has someone helped me with this snake?" And then when we killed him, it's like, "Wow, I have a cutscene." And then I did that one in co-op, and my friend was like, dude, yeah, this is like one of the people you're supposed to kill. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Hmm.
Like there's literally nothing telling you, hey, this is kind of important. Like for me, I was just like, like I thought it was kind of like a side quest or something, and that just, got out of line. But at some point, it's like, holy shit, I ended up like, this is an adventure. This is something that is kind of
Yeah,
like organic, emergent gameplay. Like if you miss things and you don't pay attention, you find yourself stepping on some bad places. And I think that that's
yeah,
something that it is impossible for that to happen in Horizon. Like at
yeah.
no point the game is going to tell you like, "Oof, Aloy, you shouldn't be here." If anything, it's
Hmm.
like you're
You go,
exactly
girl.
you go, girl. You're supposed to be here. Like if you're not where you're supposed to, it's because you didn't follow like one of the 10 UI elements telling you where to go. And I
Yeah.
think that in a way, what that's telling you is like maybe that adventure wants to be more linear. Like it's not like you need an open world.
Hmm.
um and a lot of the things that they tell you to do, they're really a pain in the ass. Like I think that in general, like most of these games, they do that. They're like, for example, I think that it was like in Red Dead Redemption 2, they're like you get like all these hunter assignments, and then you
Hmm.
have to kill like a specific amount of I don't know, animals to craft very specific types of clothing.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so fucking boring. Like I get it that it's there, but like you actually need to do that if you want to kind of like get into the mood of some achievements, or if you want to be a competitionist. Like it's not that optional to some extent.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing about like, not again to like praise Elden Ring for everything that it does, but like the trophy list of Elden Ring is incredibly straightforward. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost just the same that if it wasn't like an open world game. Like it would ask you the same things. It was absolutely linear. Like kill these guys, unlock the endings, collect all this legendary stuff. But it's not like visit every dungeon.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
to me, the cool thing, I mean, this is probably going to become the Elden Ring, you know, praise podcast, whatever. I don't care. I mean, I'm playing it. You guys played it and you loved it, so it's kind of where our minds are at. But the thing about, like, I'm an open world fan, self-admittedly. Like, to me, the fact of cleaning these maps, removing all of the little question marks, to me, that's, I know it sounds like a job, and it probably is, but to me, it's kind of pleasurable. To me, it's kind of like, I don't know, I like it. But I do recognize that sometimes in these games, my eyes are not even looking at the scenery. My eyes are looking at like the compass or the mini map, because I'm looking at, okay, let's uncover this, let's uncover this, let's uncover this. And I know that this is all probably my fault because I'm the one with the controller in my hand, but also the way the game is designed is kind of drawing my eyes to these things
No.
and making me want to pursue them. I mean, of course,
It is,
that's part of it.
especially in these games. Like at any point. So here's the thing with Breath of the Wild. If you want to get somewhere, you see somewhere in the map, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go there.
Hmm.
How do I get there? And then you have to like see, okay, this is a mountain, and I could just probably walk over here, but here's a cliff, so I'm not going to be able to go through that. So I need to take another route. You have to understand the world around you and in a way contemplate it. I would say
Hmm.
that one of the things that I didn't like about Elden Ring is that a lot of the dungeons, they're super hidden, the catacombs, and then plenty of times I was just like walking around the mountain, just trying to look for a hidden door or something. And I would just try, and I would get lost from like trying to understand and exploring the world. And especially when you have a mini map, you tend to like completely forget that maybe this is here for a reason. Maybe this place is telling a story. Maybe this area existed. And I think, like, for example, Assassin's Creed games, they are the biggest. I think they're the biggest culprits of this thing, because it's like they build this historically accurate world, and then you just fucking run through it. Like, I'm going straight to the question mark, and you miss out on, oh my god, this is how the world looked 400 years ago, 600 years ago, 1,000 years ago. And that is something that you might be like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and watch it. When I was playing Forbidden City, which is a shitty game made by four people, there were plenty of times where I was just like taking screenshots of like, oh my god, this looks so cool, and look at the lighting. And it was because I knew it was only built by four people, and because it's like the game didn't have like much else to offer. And I found that like cool. Like, it's like, this is a beautiful thing. But if you take that place, that's like a 1% level of an entire open world that would just like go through. Now, when I was recently replaying again The Witcher 3, I thought that, man, this town, like this land, really tells a story, which I didn't pick up kind of like the first time. Like, it kind of makes sense. Like, the towns make sense, the people walking around make sense, the way they're dressed. Whenever there's like a battle somewhere, like, you see kind of like the bodies and the aftermath, and the towns around it are like scorched and whatnot. And you're like, okay, this tells a story, and we completely missed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
in my time with Horizon, which was like 100 hours, I don't remember a single thing that was like interesting in that way, where it was like a environmental storytelling, kind of like, piecing things together because of the environment stuff. Not at all. I mean, maybe there are, and I'm just missing them right now. But when you compare it again to Elden Ring, which is like packed with these things, where maybe you're going around this valley, and then you kind of start finding these little like flame things that say that they cause frenzy, and then you find a town that's full of people who are totally frenzied. So that those little two things tell a little story, and
Because
then you have
they
that.
don't
Yeah.
give you information. And I think that Horizon, I haven't played like 100 hours. I think I only have like 10 hours in. And I have to say that you could get that. Like, if you walk and you figure out like, oh my god, these people are living in an antenna, that's kind of cool. Or like, oh, but they don't build towards those moments.
Hmm.
The spectacle is not in discovering new things, because you get the map, you see that you're supposed to go there, and it's pretty linear. But once you get there, it should try to tell you that it's important that you got to this point. There is, I think that's something that they do, and they also do in Elden Ring. It's like they give you a horse very early, and I think that the main difference between Elden Ring, when they give you a horse, is that you don't know where to go. Like, that horse is not gonna that horse is not gonna get you faster to any place new. But your mount in Horizon, man, you're just gonna like fucking speed around the game. Like, you know where you're going.
Hmm.
Like, you just have to go to that yellow point. But in Elden Ring, you don't even know how big the map is. In Breath of the Wild, you cannot see beyond certain points, and the same
And
thing.
and that has nothing to do with the Switch's technical capability. I'm like, I'm
Exactly.
kidding.
Exactly. You don't even have enough polygons to get excited about how detailed the world is.
John, I think you wanted to say something, maybe, and I interrupted you.
No, not at all. No, I just wanted to say, like, yeah, that I agree with everything, but apart from that, like, I know that games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Horizon, people say like, hey, you can turn off every map notification, you can turn
The
off
hot.
all of these options, and etc., and you will have a similar experience, which I disagree completely. I don't think, because it's in the core design of the game that you are gonna be guided to where you need to go. Even the map design, the way that the map are built, is for you as a player to go to a specific point. Games like Skyrim and Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring, which for me are pretty much in the same category, they rely on a more, those games remind me more of a Dungeons and Dragons type of thing. And now that I'm thinking about it, I know George R. R. Martin used to be a big dungeon master
It's a
back in the
fucking
80s.
nerd.
It is, and he was a really big dungeon master back in the 80s. He actually hosted a bunch of like Dungeons and Dragons play sessions with really big fiction and fantasy outdoors back in the day, and that just triggered something in me right now, thinking like, hey, Skyrim, Breath of the Wild, and Elden Ring are like a game master just thought of this world. Like he was the mind behind all of this. He put all this creativity in, and then you, as a player, you are choosing your own adventure. You're choosing where to go, not where they want you to go. You just choose, and then they thought that, hey, if that person goes to this path, this is gonna happen, or this is something that could happen in that part. And it feels like playing an actual role playing game. Like you're in the role of that character. I just want to go there. Let's see what happens. Maybe I die. Maybe I have a merchant that helped me. Maybe there's a freaking dragon that is gonna eat me alive. I don't know. And that's type of magic. It is just it yeah, I think it's really hard to achieve, especially as a commercial product, because not everybody's willing to be part of that. I think like not all players want that sense of like openness and like, where do I go now? Like I need to be guided. I need to, I think that there's a reason why those games sell that much too, like games like Assassin's Creed and everything. Like there, some
Yeah.
people enjoy that path guided, or that guidance, as
Also,
a
they
way of
follow a
speaking.
story that it has very specific beats. Like people, when
Yeah,
they're playing Horizon, they're like, okay, I know that I'm halfway through the game. I know that it's 3/4 in. And
yeah.
I do remember, like, when I was playing Breath of the Wild, I was like, I
Yeah.
literally like every single fucking thing until the end. And it was like, okay, now I'm going to kick Ganon's ass. And it took me like half an hour. I literally
Yeah.
was like, I'm not gonna do anything this Saturday. I'm just gonna like raid that castle. And everything I picked up in the castle was kind of trashy. Like I already had better items, better everything, and then I just kind of like went there and I kicked his ass in like 30 minutes. And it was like, well, this is underwhelming, um, because that's how the game is played out. Like the game, it's really open. Like
Mm.
it's a game where you can just jump in and figure out what you want to do and let
Yeah.
the story let your own story
Let
write
the
itself.
world tells you the story, and you create your own adventure, and
Yeah.
that exactly, that's what makes a real open world game, at least in my personal opinion, more attractive and better built and a better game when it's that way. And I know maybe it's not the majority, or I'm a special case, or maybe we are a special case between the gamer community. But yeah, I do think it's a better way to, I don't know, it's just giving agency to the player to choose and
Yeah.
create their own game. And
To the point that
yeah.
now when I go back to other games, I'm like, wow, this is pretty linear. There are not that many decisions that I'm gonna take. Like things aren't gonna change that much. And I was picking up Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was like, am I gonna take decision? I'm gonna make any decisions in this game? And people are like, oh yeah, it will happen. And to some extent, I was like relieved, like, oh, I am actually gonna have a little agency. Like I don't want to let that go, even after playing a game so open like Elden Ring, because to some
Mm.
extent it feels like I'm playing a movie that is already going to be played out. I
Yeah.
do think that the main thing here is that there is kind of like a price tag that all these games they have to fill, and that has to transform into content that in a way people are going to be able to discover and enjoy. And and it's pretty easy also to create an open world that it's completely lifeless, and doesn't tell a story and doesn't do
Mm.
anything. Like I think it was Watch Dog Legions, that again another Ubisoft game that there hasn't. I found that game like pretty amazing, because there hasn't been a new Grand Theft Auto game in like what, 9 years
Yeah, by
already.
the time that one had come out, it had been like 9, 10 years. Yeah.
So so it is like 9 years without a Grand Theft Auto game, and these guys can fucking make it. Like
Yeah.
it's like real, like it obviously, like making Grand Theft Auto is probably something that a handful of studios can do, but they didn't even try. Like to some extent, I don't even know how is it that they ambition the next thing. And I think that that's one of the reasons why these games underperform. It's like they're no longer making the next great game. They're like trying to stick to a formula, build something, and they get left behind rather easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, even though we're speaking very positively about Elden Ring, and to me, it deserves every bit of it, there is something that I'm feeling that I was wondering if maybe either of you did. as I'm playing it, which is I'm enjoying everything that we're talking about. The exploration, to me, I feel like I have that organic connection to the exploration where I'm not looking, like my eyes are not going to the compass, they're not going to the minimap. They're literally seeing what is in front of me. They're literally letting me explore what I'm seeing. You know what, like having that connection. I love that. However, when you look at it through the lens of having played Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and Sekiro, don't you guys get a lot of like what's the word, like deja vu's with a lot of things?
Well, it's a rich king of a game. Like it's kind of like the same game, but it's just like in an open world. But I think that's kind of like part of their formula. Like it's just
Yeah.
they are like they. I don't think that they can. Maybe they can because I'm not gonna tell them what they can and can't do. They keep surprising us, but
Yeah.
it's like they grab everything they learn and they put it in a game. So I want to see what they do next. It's probably gonna look very different. I'm sure that I heard that they were gonna go back to Armored Core,
Yep.
or whatnot. So that's probably gonna kick ass. Hopefully it looks better. I think that this game is beautiful, and I think that's one of the things that these games that are open world they need to be. They need to be beautiful. Like they need to be like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm here. And and to some extent, this game does that because like every time you're somewhere, you can see like somewhere ahead. Like you see like where you were before. It's kind of like if you're walking through the mountains and it's like I used to be there. Like, oh, that place, it's like super far away and now it's here. Now I made it, and it's pretty daunting. And like all these tricks, it's like they're copying Breath of the Wild, because like that's exactly
Yep.
what Breath of the Wild would do. Like you would see this place in the distance, like, oh my god, look at that castle, and then it's like, oh my god, I'm in that castle. And all those lessons, it's like they learned it, but not it. Most games didn't pick that up from Breath of the Wild. Like I think that Breath of the Wild was probably like the most influential, the most popular game of its time with less influence. Like there haven't been like that many clones.
No, but that's actually something I wanted to talk about next, which is John mentioned in the beginning of the episode that he didn't think that people were going to copy Elden Ring. I think we're going to see a lot of clones because, I mean, for Breath of the Wild, which is yet another game that Horizon came close to in terms of dates and then got overshadowed by. We have like Genshin Impact, we have Immortals Phoenix
No,
Rising,
but
we
Genshin Impact
have.
is not a clone. That was a
Oh,
marketing. That was kind of like a marketing thing. Like they were like, oh, it looks the same, but then it's like a completely different thing after a few hours.
oh, okay, okay,
Have
cool.
you given it like a few? Have you
No,
played even before? Well, at the beginning, it is a clone of Breath of the Wild, but then it absolutely turns into something completely different, which
Gotcha.
basically is kind of like a gacha game. Exactly,
yeah.
like it stops being an adventure game at all.
But okay, that's fair. So, but do you guys think that we're gonna see clones of Elden Ring, or maybe see these Ubisofts and these Sucker Punches copy some of these things? Because I think that we may, and that may be kind of what saves the
Mm,
open world fatigue. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I don't. I
Okay.
think maybe some indie developer will. Some people who actually really understand and I don't want to sound like, oh, I do understand this, no, not at all, but that really can figure out what is the core and what is that made this open world so great. But that type of person probably is more driven by passion to build something than a monetary reason to put out a game that you are for sure know is going to sell more. And unfortunately, we have so many open world games following the same type of formula because they sell, they still sell, they still, this vast open world kind of slogan still sells a lot. And that's why I think, for example, I think one of the best soul likes is Ashen, which is made by a really small team that they took like the core things from the soul games and they put it into the game in a really simplified way and more accessible, but it works better than a Mortal Shell or any of, I don't know, Hellpoint or any of the other type of like soul like games, like the 3D action adventure role playing games. So yeah, I
Is it
think
good?
maybe
I think I saw a few videos of this, and it was like,
it is
eh.
good. Like I haven't played because it doesn't have a next gen update, so it doesn't run at 60 frames
Damn
per
it.
second.
Oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't have the
Yeah,
next
I'm sorry,
gen
it doesn't have next gen, but I
patch.
have it, and yeah, for what I see, it is a pretty beautiful in its own way.
It's
Type of
very art
like the
styled, right? Like
it's
it's
a
very
really art.
stylish.
It's a really like you don't have a face. You're like a polygon. It's like a really poly art type of thing,
Okay.
but it's pretty beautiful. And yeah, it has the same type of thing as a Souls. It's like this open ended story, but a bit different because the characters actually interact with you in a like the way a normal person would, not like an NPC or from Dark Souls. Like you start building your own like hub area. You
Yeah.
start building it. You start creating houses and etc. etc. So yeah, I think that they actually realize actually these people I think are making a new game now, and they are
Yeah, it's
it's
called
gonna
No,
come.
Flintlock: The
they're
Siege
not.
of Dawn,
They're not
Yeah,
and
working on a
the
patch.
no,
exactly
I don't
no, they're
think
not
so.
like
Fuckers.
I don't think they have the resources to invest in that. They probably just
It's a
decided just
line
to
of
work.
code, 30 to six,
Hey,
isn't it? Anyway.
I don't know. I don't manage their finances, so I wish they do because I think that game maybe with the new game they get some extra funding and they go
I
back and put
think
some on True Ashen. So
I
Damn
think
right.
they did. The developers are called A44,
yeah,
and they recently announced their new game, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, in an Xbox ID at Xbox,
oh yeah, the
which is the
indie
yes.
thing from Xbox. Yeah,
So it's going to come day one on Game Pass, by the way, and
Damn.
I'm looking forward to that one because I think that those guys. I never played Ashen, but I was also very like
there's 10. That's the thing. They
yeah.
understand the
They
core of a
get
soul
it.
game, not trying to replicate it or copy it, do it in their own way, which is the same thing From Software did with the open world thing. We are gonna turn this into our own thing, and I think that's a particular type of talent that a few people can actually
Yeah,
replicate.
I think that to some extent a lot of the problems that this games that we're talking about have, they are kind of like this, like they have to do with talent, that have to do with how, and when I say talent, it's not like lack of talent, it's like how talent is distributed in the studio.
Yeah,
And we Zelda was like super popular, and there's only a handful of games that they really copied Zelda in a sense of like having a hub and then having different I don't know, temples that you're supposed to raid and whatnot, and like that never, like it's still a mystery to me how from all the genres, all the games that we have, the one that stick was this, plain open world question mark laundry list format. Like I would like I would enjoy more Horizon if it was kind of like a Zelda game than what it seems to be now, because it seems like it could have that potential. Like and I don't mean that in a negative way from what it is today. It's just like the exploration is not as dynamic as it is in Breath of the Wild, or like I don't know, like even like games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, they have to exist in the open world because that's kind of like the DNA of the whole thing. But you don't, but like the Zelda formula, which I think it's more challenging, and I think that's probably the answer why we don't see more of it. It tends to be more like a better experience for me, because it's like, if you're gonna guide me, like okay, let's go here, and then you go to the level and it's a huge temple and it's fun and you solve puzzles and then next one. But now that it's like super open world, it's like a lot of copy pasting. Like
yeah. Don't
it's
pretend that I have freedom when you're actually guiding me underneath the underneath the lines. Let's say.
and doing one thing or doing the other is the same. Like I don't know, like clearing an enemy camp, it's just boring. It's unless the whole dynamic, the whole level, it could be fun, but it doesn't drive the story forward. Doesn't really make me better at the game. And the order I do it, like it doesn't like really massively matter. I think that that's one thing that Days Gone had going on for itself. It's like you did have kind of like a few laundry lists, but when you got to these places and then you were clearing them, you would see kind of like how the story would be unfolding. You would get kind of like a new fast travel, like stuff like that. So and I don't know, like I don't want to like think that Days Gone is particularly more open than other games, but in a way, it's at least is as linear as it gets, and it doesn't lie about it. Like you don't have to, like you have a map that is big, but you reuse it. I think that's also some other things that in the open world discussion. It's like these maps don't need to be that big. Like
Yeah.
unless you're gonna show me like really new cool stuff, just repeat the same place. Like have things happen twice in the same place with different enemies, a different time of day, like different weather, and like that's enough. Or like a
Mm.
different, or like after a while, I think, or change the map that you already have a little, explode something, burn a town. I don't know, like
Yeah.
switch it up.
Well,
Yeah, I
Christian,
think
I mean,
Yakuza, it's a best example. Sorry for interrupting you. Like I wanted to say, like, look at the how small that open world is, how condensed it is, but it's been used in 9 games,
10
8 games,
games.
10 games.
Yeah.
So, and still you find new things to do, new stuff to put in, new things to change, and that's what makes those games, or at least really great game design or like open world design. It's like I don't need a 400,000 miles of trees and a lake and some random shit there. Just give me condensed content. I think like Dynasty. I think one of the biggest culprits of this is like Dynasty Warriors. I don't know if you guys ever played
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of those
Yeah.
games. Well, I think
Muso
Dynasty
games,
Warriors.
right?
Yeah, Dynasty Warriors 5 or 6. I think that it is just pretty much you running around for like 10 minutes on your horse with
Nothing.
nothing happening,
Yeah.
just a tree or something, and then you go, and it's like, yeah, okay, you have a massive open world, but for what? Like, what am I doing here? Like, am I just getting something out of this? And yeah,
And I think that the Yakuza example is a good one because there's not an American Yakuza. There's nothing similar to that. It's
Sleeping
always
Dogs,
like,
but
but but yeah, but even like in the same scale, like
yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
not. It
No,
never
not at
it
all.
never is like that condensed. It never is like, okay, let's
Yeah,
get, like for example, I think that in Judgment you have the example of like the building where one of the families is. In that building, it's almost a character. Like you try to sneak
yeah,
in sometimes, bust in another time you're kidnapped and sent there. Like you spy the building. It's like the bad guys are there. Like it's kind of like part of the story, and it just does not flow that way with these open world games. Like you go somewhere once and it's like you're not supposed to go there ever again. And it's like, why not? Why don't we challenge that? I think that Nier Automata does that incredibly well. Like the world is super small, but it's constantly changing. Events are happening. The world gets transformed, and I don't know. Like it just feels like something is, and you see it from different perspectives as well. Like it's not the same game the next time you go there. So I don't know. So I'm thinking that, like, I'm trying to think like what next game I'm gonna play that is gonna be open world. And I'm not as excited anymore, not because I played Elden Ring and like all the games are ruined, but because you definitely, when you have a game with a lot of options and then you finish that, it's not like I want a new burden of infinite responsibility. It's like maybe I need to like enjoy something that is a bit more chill or like a different genre. Like you cannot really, and that's why I think that it's bad that it's the same game. It's bad that if I'm finished the game, then I'm gonna play a new game that it's the same game.
Yeah, I
yeah.
totally understand. So I think that the last point I wanted to talk to you guys about this is, you know, a couple months ago there was this whole thing about the 500 hours for Dying Light 2 when the game hadn't even come out, and a lot of people, sorry, a lot of people were a little bit unhappy with it. I know that I kind of brought that to our group chat, and I was saying like, okay, this is kind of like unattractive to me on a gameplay level, and we started like a whole discussion, and that discussion also happened on Twitter, whatever. Like that's something that people were talking about, and my argument is that when you design a game with the goal, I want to have 500 hours, you're gonna, like, at least unconsciously bloat things here and there. If you design a game like, okay, I want this game to be to live I want this open world to live to feel like it's lived in. I want this blah blah blah, like it happens in Yakuza, and to a lesser extent in Elden Ring because it's so big. that you can see that the goal is different. So you're not going to take the same steps to get to that thing. And
Mm.
the last thing I wanted to say about this is that we're coming to the to something that's always happening in these podcasts, which is Japanese design versus Western design. I
Mm.
think Western design is the Horizons, the Ubisofts, the all that, of course. And as I said, I think Horizon is an excellent example of a Western open world game. But what happens when even the best examples give you fatigue, and then you go to the other side of our planet and to Japanese games, and you see, oh, I'm seeing fresh things. I'm seeing things that are not making me feel this way,
Yeah.
which is kind of what's happening to me.
I am
What do you guys feel there?
I am a bit worried, for example, with God of War 2, in the sense that it can be just the continuation of the first God of War. Like, what is it? And it's the same thing that I think to some extent happened when I was playing The Last of Us 2, which was, okay, this is the same game. Like, I don't want to, like, it's not like I'm going to, like, massively complain about it, but, like, it is the same game. And it's not the same game in the sense of you put the poster back in. It's not the same game in the bad sense of, like, oh, it is the same fucking bad game. But it's like, what is
The
it
boat
gonna be
animations,
new?
right?
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about.
exactly. What's new? Like, why a sequel? And in the case of Kratos, I understand, like, there seems to be kind of like a story to tell, but I am worried that it's just gonna grow in the same direction of, like, oh, now the skill tree is way bigger, or now you can
Mm.
handle, like, I don't know, like, I want to see crazy stuff, like you can handle two characters at the same time or some crazy shit like that. I I'm really curious that whether that game is going to grow in that direction, because we don't have that much information. Like, we know they're going to be like huge battles, but I think that the first one, well, the fifth one, actually, was completely different in
Yeah.
different directions, and it felt, I think that when it comes to like being open world, it was like really open world. Like, you only got like a compass telling you where to go and whatnot, and the world was kind of like hard to explore sometimes, and then it had like this massive cinematic moments. So I hope they repeat that, but I would be scared if they don't know how to like escalate, like how to make the game more fun or make the game a bit different without bloating it, which is a little bit what you're saying. Like, I don't even know what to expect from that game. I'm scared it's just gonna be like the same game but a little bit better, and that's it.
I honestly think that's gonna be the case. I do think that on the first, fourth, or the previous game, they left a bunch of content that, at least in my case, led me wanting more. Like, there were some parts when you use the elevator portal
Yeah.
machine thing to travel to different the nine worlds.
The
There
realms,
were
right? Yeah,
worlds that were broken that you could not enter. They left things to explore, but I do think, and that's a problem not a problem, but that's like part of the that philosophy on those games. Like, I think it's gonna be pretty much the same game, kind of like Horizon. It's gonna be the same game, just with some added features and some stuff that will make it better or a bit different. But yeah, because it's the same thing. Like, why would they risk doing something completely different when the first one was such a massive success?
Also,
You know?
I think that some of the things that they were doing, like, they were insanely cool. For
Yeah,
example, the Valkyries. I think that was kind of like how can I say it? Like, they didn't exploit that to the fullest. Like, that was like a
yeah.
great challenge. It had like a lot of lore, and then it ended up being just for the tryhards. And it's like that could have been it's like
I hope they remove those
like it was like, it was like one of the true challenges of the game. I think also that they had this whole kind of like roguelike game within the game, inside the
yeah.
Yeah.
inside like
Yeah.
one of the levels.
Niflheim, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. And like, the game never told you that it's not like the game doesn't tell you that it's there, but like, it's just so good. Like, both of these things, I think they're good. I think they're
Yeah.
different, and they just orbit around the game, like,
Yeah.
without, like, it's all about the main story. You have to finish this movie. You have this 20-hour movie that you have to finish, and then these things are actually games, because in a way, like, finding these nine bitches and killing them and then killing the main queen was kind of like an adventure on itself. It's completely secondary. So
Yeah.
so that was one of the problems I had with that game. Like, the secondary things were super secondary. to the extent that I didn't get it because they were fun and they were cool and they were different. And it's like I don't get it. Like why do we have games where they have like a question mark where all you have to do is like kill 5 NPCs, and that's a thing. And here you have kind of like two games within a game, an exploration, and then it's just like yeah, it's just there if you want to do it for the tryhards and the trophies.
Um, and coming back to what you were talking about, the different, let's say, development philosophies between West and East, I don't really agree with that. I don't think that's a matter of where the game is being developed, because for me, one of the best open worlds ever created is Skyrim, and that's a Western game that's made by a US team, and that for me it shows that it is possible to create like a really good open world with choose your own adventure type of thing. It's just not, first of all, I don't think it's that easy to create that as just as an Ubisoft type of open world when you just duplicate and replicate and quadruplicate everything and just make it harder and more spongy to kill. But yeah, it takes a lot of time. I don't think Skyrim was a game that was developed in like 2 years at
Well,
all.
yeah, but they take like they announced the sixth one like 4 years ago, and we still haven't seen like a minute of
Exactly.
gameplay.
So
Like
probably that will be
these
on the
companies
same line.
changed philosophy. I think that they had it at some point, and that they
Mm.
completely lost it. I think that production wise, they lost it. Like that's kind of like what's happening. I think that if you wanted to set up like a really good RPG games, I think the Outer Wilds is like a good example. Like the people from Obsidian, they still
Yeah.
know how to make these RPGs, and they still look good
Yeah.
and they're still fun. And if you wanted to scale that, I'm sure you could, but they're just not doing it. I don't know like what the hell is going on. Like probably they're thinking, why should I pay 20 writers to write like books that no one's gonna like pay attention to? And I think
Mm.
that level of detail has been abandoned in
Yeah.
favor of now this we have the cinematic scenes and then we have these dialogue options and whatnot, and it's just kind of like missing the mark. I think we had it, but we kind of like lost it, and now we
Yeah.
have to
I
like
mean,
endure
we have to see.
Japanese kinks in order to play good RPGs.
I mean, I'm kind of excited for the new Elder Scroll. I know that's gonna still probably be 4 or 5 years till we see that game actually in our PlayStation 11 or whatever. Or no, sorry, PlayStation.
PlayStation
What
6
am I saying? Or Xbox XXSS double X,
day one
whatever it's
Game
gonna be
Pass.
called. Yeah.
You know, the only guarantee about Elder Scrolls is not where we're gonna play it, is that it's going to come out 1 week before Horizon 3. That's
Yeah,
the only guarantee.
exactly.
That or Dark Souls 4. And
Exactly.
but yeah, no, I think it's chill.
I think
I
that's the
just think
trick.
it.
We should
Well,
release more Horizon games so they crash with,
so we can get better games.
so we
Like
can
let's
get
put more
better
Horizon
games.
games so we can get
Exactly.
good games before. Yeah,
They
that,
release exactly. That's how we do it. We get one Horizon every year, and that way we get one amazing generation defining
man,
game every year. That's the trick.
that will be amazing. But
Poor
sadly,
Aloy, man.
Yeah, we have to treat Aloy. Well, I mean, not Aloy. Horizon like the movie Good Luck Chuck. Did you know? Do you guys know that
Exactly.
movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Every time like comes out, then boom, a banger.
and by no means, I'm saying the Horizon is a terrible game. I know a lot of people love it. I will probably play it one day, someday. I
Not
will
now.
finish it. Not now, not because I know if I play it now, I'm not gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna not really see the good things on the game. I'm only gonna see the bad things, and that's something on me. Because yeah, I I said unironically, Elden Ring really ruined a lot of things for me, and so I need some time till that just settles, and then I can enjoy Horizon for what it is and not comparing it to Elden Ring. And I think like that's a more honest way to play that game
Yeah, yeah.
than just like forcing me to play it and just getting angry at like this typical thing. So I don't want to be that person. I really would like to enjoy that game because it is a great game and there was a lot of passion put into that game. So, but yeah,
And it probably
it's,
has a great story because, like,
yeah,
for what it's seeing, like the story seems to be like ramping up and going places and whatnot. So
yeah,
I'll definitely give them that.
Oh yeah, the story's pretty cool. I think it's worth. I mean, not. It's horrible that the conclusion that people get out of this is Horizon is a bad game, because I don't think that at all. I just, as I
a
said before,
different type
I
of-
don't think that it's gonna be something I'm gonna remember for years to come. like probably like it's always happened to me with Souls games, for example, and it's probably gonna happen with Elden Ring as well.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, do you guys want to talk a little bit about what you're playing right now?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
You want
anything because
always.
it's obvious what I'm playing, but yeah, let's start with John. What are you playing, John?
Well, I'm still playing Gran Turismo. I'm having a blast on the game.
I don't care about that. Next, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Johnny's
Okay.
playing. Johnny's playing Fortnite. Just say it.
Yeah, no, I did download Fortnite yesterday, just to try it because Christian was being
What
a
have you
really
done to
pushover.
my boy?
They remove building.
They removed the stupid construction thing, so now it's actually requiring a skill. But I think that game is really not a skill thing. It's way too easy. You say that it's because I'm being made matchmaking with bots, but if that's the case, then that's a game for children, because then that's how you hook kid children. Like, oh, it's super easy, and then you put it with. And I don't like that. I like to be struggling and sweating since the beginning. I'm a really competitive
As
person.
someone that joined that game before the matchmaking was kind of like a thing, I have to tell you that at least you can pick up a weapon and be like, okay, I am, seeing how the graphics work, because it used to be brutal. I think they overturned it a bit. Like, it definitely feels like the new player experience is way too easy. They give you, like, I would say, like 5 wins if you are like a competitive shooter
I
player.
had 6 games yesterday. I won 6 games,
That's the spirit.
and
You're too good,
I have
man.
never happened in any battle royale game. Like, I think I can count. No, well, I have more than 20 wins on Warzone, but like it is not something that comes at as easy. Like,
No,
You know
no, no.
what?
Like,
That
neither is here. Neither is here. Like, the fact that we won 6 in a row. It's just like you were literally being matchmake with people that just basically install the game, or bots. Like, that's kind of like how they start. In order, I think, like, for people to actually get into the game, because this is a game that it has like a very level of complexity when
but
buildings are turned when building is turned on, but also when it's turned off. There's a lot going on. This is like, I
But
like to think.
even if the person just installed that game, you cannot be that bad. Like, unless you're a
Yeah,
baby, unless they
that
gave
could
the
be
remote to a
happening.
baby, like a little baby that is just smashing the
If
controller.
that game,
Like,
if that game had proximity chat, trust me, you would hear like a gazillion children. I think also that this is like one of those video games where they put a lot of video game in the video game. Like, it has like tanks, gasoline, fishing, guns, shields. Like, it's pretty
yeah, it's
crazy. So,
overwhelming, to be honest. It's
so
yeah.
I love this is what I love about John and why I fell in love with him so many years ago. He downloads this game. He wins 6 times in a row, and instead of going, "Oh wow, I'm pretty good at this," he goes, "This sucks."
this game is shit.
Yeah, because I'm an extremely competitive person on video games. Like, I am a sweat lord. I don't have any problem saying that. I was a sweat lord in Call of Duty. I already disintoxicated myself, but I'm being a sweat lord in Gran Turismo right now. Like,
Trust.
I'm being a super sweat lord that I repeat tracks and I repeat until I can chip off like 10 seconds of a second, 10
A
tenths of a
tenth of
second,
a
whatever.
second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm doing that. I need to better this track, because then I go competing with people and I need to be the first. And
But you cannot
that's my
compete
type of
like
thing.
it's not like car to car, right? It's like time
Well, if you do
based.
multiplayer, yeah, like you do multiplayer, you're in a race with like
Damn.
20 other people, and yeah, the things like it's really well implemented. The sportsmanship type of thing, like you cannot be an asshole. I mean, you can be, but you probably then will be get time
Okay.
penalties, and you're gonna be always in the back.
Okay.
How can you be
So,
an asshole in that game? I'm
well,
genuinely asking.
racing has some rules. Like any sport, you have some rules in racing
Mm.
that you shouldn't do in real life, and you shouldn't do in this game. Like, they really want this game to be like a proper, and it actually has a massive e-sport competitive things between. They even have Lewis Hamilton, the world champion from Formula One, as a maestro of Gran Turismo, and he goes to those events and everything. So they really want this to be the e-sport of racing. But yeah, I'm a
Amazing.
really competitive, and yeah, I would like to enjoy. I probably gonna play Fortnite today with Christian again. See
Oh,
if I my
if
skill
once
level,
they turn
his skill
off,
level pulls me up with actual
they're gonna
contenders.
turn off that switch, and then you're gonna be like, "Can I have my wings back again, please?"
Nah, then probably I will be. Now I want to spend money in this game,
That's how they
and
get
Some
you.
Yeah,
San
and
Chapulín,
the other game,
Colorado thingy.
oh, I want that one, of course. Represent Mexico because we are Mexicans. But yeah,
We
the other
are.
game I start really quick because I don't have that much to say because I just played like 2 hours. Was Near Replicant, which was a game that I was really looking forward to play at some point, and yeah, I got my hands on it and I'm playing it, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think that so far the music is better than Near Automata,
It is.
Hot
and
take.
that is a really hot take.
No,
But
it
at
is.
least
It
a
is.
couple of tracks that I hear, I was like, damn, this is fucking cool. So yeah, I think I'm gonna
Did
have a good
did
time
did
with
you
the
go
game.
to the shrine?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
I did
oh,
the
oh.
first
That's so good.
boss. I don't know if that was a boss battle or something, but I did that
Hansel and
first.
Gretel.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if Hansel and Gretel.
I mean the
I
the
beat
the,
up
the
two dudes.
knights.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
two
It's on
dudes.
Game Pass, or you bought it?
I bought it. I bought it on
Okay.
PlayStation. I don't play Japanese games on Xbox. That's a rule that I don't do.
I I need to I need to start picking up that because I'm playing Dragon Quest on the Xbox, and it's pretty
Amazing
fun.
game.
I don't know, like I don't know if I'm gonna stick with it like the whole journey. I've had fun. I think that the gameplay is cool, but it's like these JRPGs are a bit grindy for me,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like I also like I'm trying to understand the grip of like how many encounters I have to do, how much I have to level up, those kind of things. But so far so cool. uh I also, in the same order of ideas, I tried Runic. It was the name, like the other
Tunic.
Tunic.
Ah,
Yeah, the
Tunic.
soul. Like I can't do another soul. Like it was like they killed me, and it was like I'm not, no way I'm picking up anything. Like fuck it.
God,
I It's just like I can't do another one right now. It's
I
always
do
happened.
recommend that game though. It's cool. I really want to pick it up after I need to
It's
detox
on Game
too,
Pass.
but
It's on Game Pass.
yeah, but I start playing it. I killed the first boss or whatever, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back to this game at some point because I really probably is gonna be my next game to play.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if I don't know. Like it's another Souls, and like I've been trying. Like this is the thing. Whenever I finish a game, I'm like $200 into like figuring out what I'm gonna play next. So I have a bunch of. I have way too much stuff that I could still play before jumping into a new game. But I just like I'm trying to find like the mood, the zen mood of it, because they have the Light, Sifu, Destiny 2, the Witch King. It's like, damn it, need to pick
Tiny
something.
Tina's Wonderland. Yeah.
Yeah, that one we were discussing about that one. I was like, I can't really spend more money.
I already bought it, so that's
Damn,
fine.
but it's coming out on Friday, right?
Yep.
So I have
I'm gonna
2 days to finish like all the things I was talking about.
You're gonna
Sifu,
finish Dragon Quest 11 in 2 days.
and
can do it.
Sifu in 20 minutes.
I bet you €100 that you cannot do that.
Dragon Quest or Sifu?
Yeah, Dragon Quest.
Oh,
Dragon
okay.
Quest.
No Sifu neither. Don't worry. I'm playing it like 30 minutes every day or something like that. So I'm taking it easy because I know
That's
that
a
it's
good way to play the game. Yeah.
because also like the game feels like kind of like an anime. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like see what adventure I'm doing today. Especially because it does feel that way. Like it's not like like this arc thing. There's an arc, but like each story is kind of like a little small. You go to a town. So far, you go to a town, something happens. It's like a small adventure onto the next town, and that kind of like how's it going so far?
I do find it curious that you say that there's a grind in that game because I don't know. I haven't played the definitive edition, but I did play it on release, and I never felt that I have to grind for everything. Like it
So,
felt like really on par. Like when you were
so it's not like
battling
a
a boss.
crazy
Like
grind, but it's just like
no,
you see like all these possible combats
yeah,
around, and like and sometimes I'm like, should I pick up, like I'm just walking for here, should I fight some of these things just for the sake of leveling up a little bit? And that's kind of like how I've been going about,
okay,
because I've seen like a few kind of like not skill gaps, but like I've died a few times, and it was like set back a bit, and it was like, ugh, do I need to level up? And then you level up is way easier, so it's kind of
yeah.
like how I'm going about it.
It's the thing with the Dragon Quest. Like there's people who just go and rushes bosses because they want the actual challenge. Because if you actually go with the game, it comes too easy. So you have the hard triers. That I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do any other encounter.
Just the bosses.
Crazy
Christian,
people.
you have to check out Tim Rogers' review.
I saw it.
I sent it.
That's
Oh,
why I
okay,
started
okay.
playing it.
Oh wow. Okay.
I saw
cool.
I saw the review. I saw it was in Game Pass, and it was like, let's give it a go. He's really good at his reviews. He has a YouTube channel that
It's so good that he left
So
Kotaku. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
he's actually good. So he left
Yeah.
Kotaku. I think that
Bit
also
mad.
like, but he has like very his videos are really good, but also like he doesn't release videos like that often, so that's kind of like a miss.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
he works on them for like months. It's crazy.
Yeah, I
if
saw
you go to his channel, like I think the review for Cyberpunk,
I saw that one
17,
as well.
it's
That
like
one was
9
impressive.
videos of like an hour and a half each. So the whole
Yes.
review is like a 10-hour review, which
I
is
saw
insane.
it.
It is
It's
insane.
I also felt like a bit related to him because he starts from his personal experience of like why I want a cyberpunk game, and then he picks it up from there and disappointment and how the game goes, and like he's also kind of forgiving because he's a mature person. He's not a child going like this game is shit.
He's almost 50. Yeah, if you can, you see him and he looks
Yeah.
like a 20-year-old kid, but he's like almost 50 years old. It's
He
insane.
lived in Japan for a bunch of years, so he speaks
And
Japanese.
he speaks Japanese fluently. It's crazy.
Yeah. One of the
Even was a
few-
translator
a
for
true,
some games.
a true otaku.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of otakus, we are done with this episode. So we hope you enjoyed our talk about open world games part 2. We hope you check out hammerspacepodcast.com, which is Christian Caroli's podcast. And John's only podcast is this one. So just stay here and listen to all the episodes you haven't listened to. Like, subscribe, share, comment, everything. We'll see you next
See
week.
you kids on the whatever it's called, the Fortnite map.
Time
Tilting Towers, whatever it's called.
to drop, kids.
See you on the Fortnite, kids.
See you in Turning Town.
Brilliant Fortnite,
Exactly.
kids. Say thank you to the bus driver.